We have a significant injury to lead off tonight. Not the kind of news we want to talk about, but it's the news we have to talk about. Ethan, your reaction to the day's big injury news at USC.
Yeah, so just to clue everybody in, we're talking about Chasen Johnson, who's one of the leading corners on the USC roster. It came out today that he was seen wearing a heavy knee brace after the game and had a mobile scooter at practice today. And then Lincoln Riley came out and said after practice that he's out for the year. So obviously a super big blow for a position group that we've been kind of critical of on the show as it is. So that's certainly not going to help, and it certainly makes some of the other injuries to some of the other corners a little bit more stressful. And we're hoping that we can get some of those guys back to kind of mitigate the loss of Chasen Johnson, because it's a bummer. I mean, he's a guy who his debut at USC was kind of long awaited because he originally committed to USC and then decommitted and then eventually came back. So, and was kind of a top recruit and was a guy that Lincoln Riley and this coaching staff always seemed to be into and had a lot of promise. So for him to not get to play this season is a real bummer for him. We obviously wish him the best and hope for a speedy recovery, but it's also just not good news for this team because, we're already kind of struggling in that room. And, we were kind of hoping he could develop into one of the top corners on the team. So not great news.
I absolutely agree with you there, Ethan, especially when we just talk about like that position group has been struggling, the whole secondary in general, as we really went in depth on Sunday. But then also just think about they're already down with Prophet Brown out for the time being, it seems like indefinitely. And with that, that's just more younger guys who are going to have to step up. And it seems like this is an area where someone's going to really have to step up and elevate their game for this unit, or USC could be in trouble this week against Michigan State, especially if the Spartans opt to throw the ball deep.
So let's, in light of that, let's get into the USC secondary, right? Because we have talked about the instability of this unit, and we're not talking about how players are performing on the field. It's more about just you're not going to get continuity with injuries, with players being out. Like that has created a lack of a consistent rotation, everyone knowing who's playing and how many snaps and what the pecking order is. That's been in flux. That's been fluid. So obviously, like it's hard for players to get a rhythm. Athletes in any sport need a rhythm. They need something they can depend on, like to know your role, know how much you're going to play. Like you want to have those things solidified. They're not solidified, and this Johnson injury obviously exacerbates that particular problem. So, the people who watch this show and the people who follow USC very closely, our most loyal viewers, listeners, such as Bob Springer, such as Jeff Rodriguez, they've been saying, you got to move Kamari Ramsey away from nickel, like the alignment of the defense, who's playing where, how the chess pieces are aligned needs to be different. Does this perhaps give D'Anton Lynn that push to maybe think, maybe I need to have Kamari Ramsey out of nickel? Do you think that maybe this shakes loose the alignment of the secondary in ways that could this is obviously a huge loss. Chasen Johnson, a huge loss. Want to be very clear about that. But maybe this gets D'Anton Lynn to make other adjustments that haven't come yet and which the fan base has been clamoring for. Ethan first, Crash second.
I don't know if this is the thing that's going to get D'Anton Lynn to move Kamari Ramsey, just because I don't see Kamari Ramsey playing like on the boundary given his history playing safety. And I also just don't think that there's somebody who can step up and replace Kamari Ramsey. I think Kamari Ramsey is ultimately playing nickel because the injuries kind of require him to, is kind of how I've seen it. Jeff says in the chat, we need Alex Graham back so Kamari can play safe. So Kamari can play safety. And I kind of agree with him there. I think it's more, I don't think subtracting people is going to cause, especially if we're subtracting people at corner and not safety. Like, if Bishop Fitzgerald was out for the year or one of the other safeties was out for the year, maybe we move Kamari Ramsey back to safety. But, moving him to another different position that's not his natural normal position, I don't really see that happening.
I absolutely agree with you there, Ethan. I think, yeah, it's like pretty much. I don't see why Lynn would change. It would seem like it would need to be someone coming back that would possibly force Lynn to move Ramsey to back to safety and out of the nickel position. So I think Ramsey's going to probably be playing nickel come Saturday.
So in light of all this, who's the guy who really needs to step up in Chasen Johnson's absence? Who's the guy who has to really elevate his game a notch or two to make the current pieces? Obviously USC is shorthanded, so USC's not playing with a full deck. But in this limited context, who really needs to elevate his game to make this secondary work? Crash first, Ethan second.
I think it's really going to just have to be someone in the cornerback room. I think really you just have to just really, I think just
it's a committee. It's a committee.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Ethan, your additional thoughts.
I think it's got to be DJ Harvey. I feel like DJ Harvey's one of our most experienced guys in the room. He's a redshirt senior. He's been around the block. He was at San Jose State and Virginia Tech. And he's just kind of a guy that's drawn a lot of the fire of Trojan fans for not playing quite up to the standard that we thought he was going to play. So I think it's got to be him.
We really haven't heard his name a whole lot this season, which, it's for lack of snaps, because it's not as though, if we had heard about DJ Harvey, it could have been for, the wrong reason, getting roasted. But it's really just been he hasn't played that much. So is that kind of a way, Ethan, of saying or acknowledging that like he's just going to have to be thrown into the fire no matter what? Is that pretty much, if not a guaranteed outcome, an extremely likely outcome Saturday against Michigan State?
Yeah, I think the rotation doesn't change too much because Chasen Johnson's already kind of been limited because of, he came into the season injured and kind of had a pitch clock in the 2 games that he did play. Missed the first game against Missouri State. But I just think you can't now rely on Chasen Johnson to come in and save you if you're DJ Harvey, if you're any of these other guys. So I think that, it's more of nobody's going to save me. I need to, especially if you're DJ Harvey, because like I said, he's experienced. He's a guy that was one of the big transfers that we got in the secondary this year that, people were kind of excited about his potential. So you just kind of have to have the realization that nobody's going to save you and you have to, step up and do your job.
I would absolutely agree with that. DJ Harvey's going to need to step up, and it's no one. I think you said it perfectly, Ethan. Just no one's going to be able to save you in this position. It's just he's going to have to step up if this team is going to be successful with Chasen Johnson down.